Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever, wherever you find yourself. Welcome to another episode of Power Series with yours truly, Samuel Adrani. Well, today's episode will be talking about, well, it's more or less like a continuation of where we left off last week on the Microsoft Copilot Studio. Today, I want to be talking about how to integrate your Power Automate into Copilot Studio. If this sounds like something of interest to you want to do, stick and stay with us. When we back, we gonna have some fun. Don't go anywhere. Awesome. We are back. We're back. Welcome to another episode of Power Series. Thank you so much for joining. As we always do it, if this is your first time, please smash the subscribe button, notification bell, so that anytime we go live, you'll be the first to see it. I want to give a special shout out to Edwin is on the show. Actually, Edwin was the first person to join the show today before we went live. So big ups to you. I think I should give you a free Power Series sticker. So anytime we meet, just remind me, I'll give you a copy of that. So welcome. Last week, if you missed it, scan this QR code, you subscribe to the channel, go watch last week's episode. I talked about we created actually our first Copilot in the Copilot Studio. What we did was we created one connected to the Ghana Immigration Service website. We were able to ask it some questions and it gave us some information. Today, I want to take it a step further. So I will show you how to connect your Power Automate to Copilot. Question is, why would we want to do that? And as we do this, please don't forget to ask any questions. If you have, just drop them in the chat. I will try as much as possible to respond to them. And if you feel like I'm talking too fast, just let me know. Just say, Sam, you're talking too fast, and I'll stop talking. I think I need to do some form of automation so that when someone says I'm talking too fast, or when a few people say I'm talking too fast, it automatically alert me on the screen so that I stop talking too fast. But yeah, it's on the spirit of sharing and learning. So let me know if it works for you so we can get that going. All right. So why would you want to connect your Power Automate? So connecting Power Automate to Copilot Studio is just a way to extend the functionalities of your application. So in last week's episode, where we connected the Ghana Immigration Service website to it, that was just pretty much learning off of the Ghana Immigration website, and then we're asking questions. I gave a scenario that the last time that said, assuming they had an endpoint or they had a service that allowed you to check the status of your let's say your visa, right, your e-visa request, or that had they had a system that allowed you to check the status of your work permit. Then someone could go to that bot and ask the questions of the bot and say, hey, what's the status of my work permit? And then maybe the bot will respond by saying, what's your reference number? You enter the reference number, and then that'll go pull out whatever information we have. So you could have that workflow sitting somewhere in let's say Power Automate that does that whole workflow, and then you can call it. That is one way to do it. You can also use custom connectors or even call APIs, external APIs. So today we're going to see how to basically leverage that. I'm not going to do anything specific. It's just going to be, doing some interesting things with numbers. So something I wanted to say last week on all my shows, I was scrolling through Facebook today, and I saw the memory thing that Facebook does, and it reminded me that today is actually 4 years I started streaming. I think, yes, it deserves some confetti. Yes, 4 solid years. It's been 4 years since I started streaming, and I must say that it's been a number of things, ups and downs, has its own but I'm grateful, thanks to you who keep watching, and those who join me live, and then those who watch later. Thank you so much for making this something that is worth spending time into. So without much ado, I know I'm hearing a little voice in my ear saying that, oh, let's do the immigration one. Let's do. I'm not I'm not gonna do that. If Ghana Immigration wants me to do something for them this year, they need to spend some money on the show. Don't you think so? Anyway, so we're going to go through the process of creating a very simple Copilot, and I'll show you 2 ways on how to connect your Power Automate. Now, if you don't know what Power Automate is the low-code, no-code visual way of creating business process automation flows by dragging and dropping stuff. I talked about it, I think 2 episodes before, so you can go check that out. Now, a couple of ways you can add Power Automate to your Copilot Studio. The first one is to initiate that from Copilot Studio, and then you can go ahead and alter the Power Automate flow in the Automate Designer. Or you could also create your own Copilot, right? Create the Power Automate in the Power Automate Designer, and then you can call it within your Copilot Studio. In both ways, in the latter process, which is designing your Power Automate and calling later, there are some things to look out for. A couple of things is that your Power Automate and your Copilot should be in the same environment, and I'll explain what that means. So let me take you to the desktop right now. Yeah, so if you look at our desktop at the moment, you would see that I see something here. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to quickly change. Let's do this. Let's hide this for now. And yep, so just hiding that for now. Let's see. Fade, hide. There you go. Okay, so if you look at the top right of the screen right here, okay, you will see that it shows you environment, and this is saying that I am in the default AfriLogic environment. So that is a default environment this Copilot I'm working in belongs to. In the same way, if you go to your Power Automate environment, right, you should ensure that you are also in the same environment. So the Power Automate you create and the Copilot you create should all be in the same environment for this for you to be able to leverage or use your Power Automate. That's the first thing. The second part is that you should put your Power Automate flows in a solution, right? So there is always a default solution here. So if you look at it, there is a default solution. If you open the default solution, that's where most of the things would be. So if you go into the default solution, all the apps, the flows, the Copilot, all that will be by default created in the solution. But the good practice is that you need to make sure that your Copilot and your flow are in the same solution. So if you look at let's look at this. I can do chatbot. If I open this up, you see that there are 3 chatbots, which is the same as Copilot. I think I explained this the last time. There are 3 of them there which are in the default solution. So whatever you're doing, make sure that it is in a solution. This is putting it in a default solution. I can go ahead and create a new solution, right? I can create a new solution from the other side, sorry. And then if I go here, go to solutions, I can, on the top here, I can go and create a new solution right here, and then just make sure that all my Copilot, all my flows, everything I'm creating is in the same solution, and then it will easily connect it. So let's start with a very simple scenario. Okay, I'm going to delete this. You know what? Let's just refresh this. So today I'm going to show you how to create another Copilot. Start with a basic topic, and then we'll drill down to seeing how that works. So let's go ahead. So from the top here, as we've seen this before, right from this side, we can go ahead and click this. Welcome to the screen. If you're just joining us, this is Power Series. we are creating a Copilot, and we're going to connect it to Power Automate in the two ways. If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat and I will try to answer that for you. All right, so we're going to go to new, give it a name, and I will call it the Super Numbers Copilot. I can change the language if I want to, but I'll stick it to English. And then the last time I showed you how, if I wanted to if I wanted this Copilot to be AI generator, which is give it a reference to a website, which we did last week, and then it will read everything from it. You can do that as well, but we'll just here leave it to create. So we do that. It's just going to, the bot is going to be in the background to create stuff. Let's see. Drop your questions. Okay, so we're here, and you can see we can go out and set up the generative AI portion of it, which is basically reading stuff. Hey, Ellie Clean, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Don't worry, you've not missed anything. We just started having fun. So you're welcome. Drop your questions, invite your friends to join. Let them join. We're entering Christmas. I should probably wearing some Christmas either next time I come with some dark shades. So yeah. So the last time we talked about the concept of topics, okay, which is your bot your Copilot can do a lot of things. So you can organize your Copilot capabilities, with topics. Maybe another time I'll talk about the whole designing of Copilot, what to look out for, how to structure that. So we can do that. Yeah, invite your friends to join. I think I should start some kind of a perks or reward things. When someone joins with your code and you get a setting number, I just give you some swag or through some interesting, gifts your way. So we're going to start with the first topic, right? And when I click on topic here, as you can see on the left side in the navigation, topics entity. Also, what I'm going to, we'll take time to, as we're doing the series, we'll try to address all these things. Now, in your topic, you can create different topics, which is goodbye topics, greeting topics, sample lesson topics, start over, thank you. So these are various topics or different aspects of your Copilot, right? So you can have a greetings one. So if you look at this is triggered by setting phrases in the term of bot development. We call that utterances. What the person says to trigger that topic, and then your bot knows that, okay, this is the line of conversation I'm going to have with this person. So let's go ahead and the top here. I'm going to go right at the top where you see the add. We're going to go with that. So I'm going to click on the add and then add a topic. And as you can see, there are a lot of options right here, right? Let's talk about this for a moment. I could use a plugin, right? So plugins, like I mentioned, are the add-ons. I talked about ChatGPT, GPTs, which are plugins that you can use within it. So I could start a topic which is based off of those plugins. I could also create a topic which is based off of a Microsoft Copilot plugin, and this is in preview. Now these two are in preview, so things might change, but that's the idea, that's the concept. Or I can create from blank, which is the option I'll go for today, but that doesn't mean that you should also go from blank. No, you can go from blank, or you can use Copilot. So this is a funny thing. So it's like, I'm in Copilot Studio, I'm going to use Copilot here, but this is pretty much it. So you can use AI to help you generate a topic, which is telling it, oh, this topic is a greeting topic, or is a, whatever that is. So, so you can go to topic, and I can say from blank, and from blank is, which means I am defining how I want it to be. If I want to say generate from description, it's going to tell me, give me the name of the topic and, what I want, create a topic to do what. So here is giving an example here that says, if you look closely, very simple topic says, let a user check the status of a flight, accepting the flight number and date. For each question, add 2 message variants. It says add 2 message variants, and then what? And then a speech alternative. You see that. So if you want to use the Copilot in Copilot Studio to help you generate your topics, you can do that. And when you do that, it's going to build out the flow for you, putting in the intent, extracting it, and creating the variables, right? So we're going to create, I'm going to create one blank, and then I'll create another one using the Copilot. So let's go ahead and say, so let's call this, so I'm not going to use this, or they have other options, let's someone order a pizza, accept username and age, date of birth, and then repeat the numbers back to them, collect the users. So these are all examples beneath here. These are all examples that you can use if you want to use the generative AI, right? Awesome. So let's go ahead and create. We're going to create one from blank, and then we'll create another one. So here, and so at the top here, you double click on this area which says untitled, and then what you want to do is give it a name. So here I'm going to give this name, I'll just call it hello, right? I'm just going to call the but then let's call it personal greeting, right? I'll call this topic personal greeting. Now what happens right now is you realize that within on the canvas in the design section here, let me bring it here so you see what that means. So here it's asking you what is the trigger, right? So the trigger is what, it's kind of like the wake word or what fires your bot to know, hey, this topic has been invoked. All right, so at the moment there are no phrases or what we call utterances. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, so just go ahead here and you click on the edit phrase. So let's click on the edit phrase, and when we click on the edit phrase, let me show you this. So when you click on the edit phrase, the on recognize intent panel, which is this one right here, you can add as many phrases or utterances which you anticipate the person would use to, trigger your flow, your bot. So it could be hello, it could be hola, it could be akwaba, it could be, anything at all you want it to be looking out for. So let's go ahead and do this actually. Let's move it here so you can see what's happening on this side. So I could enter, so from this side I can enter a number of, from here I'll enter the text, and then I can click on this button here, and then this one will keep adding it. So I'm going to do that to add a few phrases or utterances that the bot would respond to. So let's go ahead, and then I will do welcome, click on enter, hello, click on enter, akwaba. All right, welcome. There you go. So here, and then let's do some Spanish. Hola. And then I'll do another one. Yo. And I'll say, hey, buddy. All right. So what we have done here is basically saying, hey, this is the trigger. These are the trigger phrases that will let you know that, hey, I'm trying to get this topic, or I'm trying to let you take the conversation to this topic. All right. And then from here, we can take it from here. So I'm going to lay the scenario, the premise. So we're going to create a very simple Copilot, as a name implies, super numbers, that is supposed to tell us something about numbers. All right, so something about numbers. If we want to, right, if we want to know some random fact about numbers, we want to create a Copilot to do that for us. So first of all, so think about the way you want to build your flow. The first part is, okay, when the person invokes the how do you call it, the greetings, right, or the personal greetings, which is the name of this topic, right? Actually, you know what, let me give it a proper name. We'll call this the numbers, so it reflects what we're doing. Yeah, the numbers topics, right? The numbers topic. So if someone initiates, if someone uses this phrases, right, we know that we want to talk to the numbers section or the numbers topics or side of, the Copilot. So what do we do? What happens? So the next thing is, what happens if the person triggers this flow? What do we do? What do we present to the person? So to do this, and that's how you build, that's one of the beautiful things about the Copilot Studio. So you see this, this right here. So you're going to click on this button, and then you add the next step or the next flow of things, the next sequence of things. So I'm going to click here, And then as you can see, we have a number of options. We'll be talking about them as we move on, right? So we have the, how do you call it? The ability to send a message. We have the ability to ask a question. If you want to ask a question with an adaptive card, adaptive cards is something who is another, beautiful and interesting thing on its own. If you're interested, let me know. I'll do something on it on Demystify Tech on Friday. If you want to add a condition, right here, you want to add a variable, topic management, call and action. We're going to see some of these things in action today. All right. So what we want to do is that when the person triggers this topic by saying our phrases welcome, hello, akwaba, hello, and you know what, let's actually add one here. Let's add numbers. I'll say let's play the numbers game, and then let me just say, or somebody just says numbers, right? When I say numbers, I don't mean little numbers, so people be very careful. All right, so next thing is say, okay, so when the person triggers or gets to the side of our Copilot, what do we want to do? So we can say hello there. So I'm saying hello there, welcome to the numbers, welcome to the number magic, am I spelling it? Yeah, magic portal. Pick any number and I will tell you a secret. All right, so if you look at this is a message, and the message is the next thing. So we're saying that, hey, when someone triggers this topic and by saying any of the phrases, first thing what we want to do is that we want to say to them, we want to send them a message by saying this. All right, now a couple of things you're seeing here. You can literally, right, in terms of formatting the message, how you present it, you can do that with the formatting. If there are variables you want to use, you can call the variables, and we'll see an example of variable very soon. If you want to add, like an expression, you can also use that. We'll see in there. You can add more options to it. So I can click here if I want to add like a variation of the message. So the message variation is, let me explain this as we move on so that it's quite. So in addition to the message, right, I can add a variation to the message. Now, message variation simply means that now currently what we have here for the message when the person invokes this is hello there, welcome to the number. That's the fixed message. So which means anytime someone calls it, it is always going to say this. It's going to return this. However, if you add a message variation, you're saying that you can say between this and that, right? Or you can also include an image. You can also include a video. You can add a basic card, which is and you can add an adaptive card, right? So these are all extra things, or to just add some spice to it. Let's go ahead and add a message variant. So I'll just say message variation, and you see, so that gives me another box right here for me to add another message instead of hello there, welcome to the numbers, right? So now it can, let me add a message variant, variation. It will say awesome. Oh man. Yep, there we go. So we say awesome. Let's play some numbers game. All right, so do this, and then on the top right here where we have the save button, right, I make sure that I save. Anytime I make changes, I make sure that I save. So hit on save, and as you know, we can always test it here. Let's move ourselves right here. So we're going to go into, let's go right here. So we're going to go into our test and test it out. So what are some of the phrases? So if I say numbers, check this out. There you go. So you see, it says, hello there, welcome to the numbers magic portal. Pick any number and I will tell you a secret. So this is it, right? So this was first response. If I now use another phrase, let's say Akwaba, boop, 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 boop. So you say hello there, right? So I'm going to try to use, I just want to see if I can see the next. Awesome, there you go. So let me try this. Yo, I wanted to, yeah, there you go. So I wanted it to pick another variation of the response. So you see that now we have the other variation. Awesome. Let's play some numbers game, right? And the first one was, the first option we had here was hello there, welcome to Numbers Magic. So now you see how you add number variations. Okay. Now, after you've asked that, what do you want to do? You might want to present the person either some options. This is the manual one. So I'll go ahead and then I'll say, so we've seen how to send a message. Let me move this to the left so that you can see what's happening here. So you've seen how to send a message. The next thing is now you want to ask the person a question, right? So if you say that, if you want to ask the person a question, in the same way, I can say, what is your favorite number, right? Question mark. And here again, I can decide to use message variations to ask it different messages, right? So actually, let's do this. Let's go here, and then I'll show you. I'll explain this pretty shortly. So let's do this, and let's go here and go to ChatGPT. Now I can use the here, right, on the top right of your Copilot Studio. You see this option. You can say edit with Copilot. And what this is going to do for you is that it's going to allow you to, use generative or descriptive or conversational, AI to modify what you have on your design canvas or Copilot Studio, right? You could also, look at your variables and analytics, but I'm not using this yet. So if I click this, the edit with Copilot, as you can see, examples, add a question to ask. You can see that. So add a question to ask a user. Actually, let's do it here so that it's more engaging. So I'll say that add a question to ask the person his or her, or let's do this, to ask the person their favorite number and include 3 variations of the question. Now let's look at this. So what am I doing? Now I am using the Copilot feature within the Copilot Studio to say, hey, add a question to ask the person their favorite number and include 3 variations of the question, right? And question, right? I can be more descriptive. I don't want to jump the gun. So let's see what happens when I do this. So I update this. Now see what happens. So it's updating it and it's done. Now let's go back and review what it did. I asked it to ask the person the favorite number and then include 3 variations. You see it. It created the first one. What is your favorite number? Tell me your favorite number. Which number do you like the most? So using Copilot within it, it's created it for me. All right. Then I click here on the identify, right? Now, when you use Copilot to ask the user or the person interacting with the bot a question, you need to identify what response you are getting or what you want to provide for the person. And here you can see the options of multiple choice, right? There are other options you can select. Let's look at it. So if I click this, now look at what happens. It opens it up, right? Now, remember we talked about entities last week, and I told you that entities are a way for the bot to extract information from what you say. So an example is My passport number is ABCD1234. I want to check the status of my work visa, right? The passport number ABC. Now it knows that I need to extract the passport number, which is 123 ABC1234, right? And what do I want to do? I want to now check the status of my work visa. So that could be calling another topic that says visa status. Is that okay? So that's an entity. So when you're asking the person a question, you need to determine, is it a multiple choice entity? Is it an option from a list I have? Do you want me to track everything or capture everything the user says? Do you want me to track or collect the age, a boolean, a city, a color, a continent, a country, a date and time? So I'm asking this question, and how do you want me to identify this question when the person responds, right? For now, we'll just go ahead and say, hey, let's use a multiple choice option. And because we use the multiple choice option, if you look down here, there is the option to add the options you want to present to the person. All right, so let's do that. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to now, before we do that, I want you to take a look at this. Before we added the option, I think today my picture in picture should be on the left so that it doesn't mess up with it. So if you look at this, if you look at what we have now, okay, there is no step. And let me show you this. There is no step here right after the question. There's nothing there. But watch this. As soon as I add the option and say maybe 10, enter, add another one, and I say 4, enter. Now see what has happened. Below, almost automatically, Copilot Studio has added branches for the 2 options that I provided. So up here, I mentioned 10, and then I mentioned 4. Because of that, it's saying that, hey, if the person selects a 10, this is what I want you to do. Follow this sequence. If the person selects, and you can see that from here, if the person selects a 4, which is here, I want you to follow this track. Now, what happens if the person does not provide any or select any of these numbers, right? Then, if you come here, it now says all other. What do you want to do? So, you know what? Let's just save this for now, okay? And test the bot again. Let's test it and see. But before we test it, it's not just a matter of, this is blank, right? So let's go ahead. Based on what they select, and then we can have the fun. So when I'm going to add another thing, let's click here, add, and I'm going to just send them a message. Okay. So this is 10. I'll say, yay, 10 is a perfect number, right? So that's what I'm saying. If the person selects a 10, I'm responding to the person and saying, yay, 10 is a perfect number. And then if they say 4, what do I want to do? I'll probably say send a number and say that, wow. What will be the response? We'll say, wow, exclamation. Did you know it's been 4 years? I started, well, because it's a bot, it can be 4 years, Samuel. Let's do this. Do you know it's been 4 years, Samuel started his live streams? All right, question mark. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. Now, if the person doesn't select either, and because I said multiple choice options, it means that I'm providing these choices to this choice to the person, right? So if the person doesn't select 10 or 4, what do I do? I'll just say, send a number. Now, before I do this, watch this. You realize that when I provided the option, there was an option down here that said that, hey, save the responses from this question in a variable called var1. All right. As a best practice, you don't want to be using these variable names. Let's make it something meaningful. So I'll just double click on the variable, and then you open the properties on the right, and I'll call this var. Let's call this lucky number. Okay, it's type of a choice. We'll just leave it here for now. Now, see what happens. Now, it is updated the bot flow, and now says that, hey, if the person, now if the lucky number equals 10, do this. If so, what that means is that now, whatever number you select, I am now tracking, or I've collected that number into a variable called lucky number variable. So in here, if the person selects any number, I can now respond. And now this is where I talked about the variable option, which is this one, right? So now I can go ahead and select this, and that shows a list of variables, and I can select the lucky number variable, and I'll say 10, maybe exclamation, and say that is not a bad number, right? That's not a bad number. Cool. So what do we do? So we have this. So let's save, and now let's go and test our bot. So let's come here. Our bot is saved. We come to the test side here, and then I'm going to try again. So let's say numbers. I'm just going to invoke by calling numbers, and then you can see the part. Now look at that. So, oh, see, I'm covering your face again. There you go. Sorry, guys. So there you go. It now says I started with numbers, and then it went ahead. It says, hello there, welcome to Numbers Magic Portal. Pick a number. Which number do you like most? And I'm now going to pick between this. So I'll probably say 4. So when I selected 4, as you can see on the right side here, the flow is going through the options I picked. And look at this. It went ahead to say, yeah, wow, did you know it's been 4 years someone started his live streams? That's cool. So now in this response, which we're seeing here, this is because I picked 4. All right. And then it gave me this message, and I've already showed you about adding message variation. So I could have just selected another one and entered another variation of what I'm saying, right? So you know how to do that. Now, let's try that again. Let me just say numbers. And this time around, let me pick 16. Now, so it's asking my favorite number. Okay, so I know what's happening. I haven't okay, don't worry, I'll talk about this later on. Let's just stick to that. So and so the reason why it's not responding to it, that did I say 4? How is it saying 2 as 4? Anyway, don't worry. The reason why it's not saying is that I have not asked it to there is, why am I blanking on it? I'm trying to find the correct term for it. I need to tell it to be able to, pretty much look at other topics, or other, topics especially, to make many of this. But don't worry, hold on. I'll explain that in the next steps, so that it makes a lot more sense. Now think about this. There are a lot of numbers, right? And obviously, the more numbers I add, the more conditional branching it is going to, take. That means that it could be 1,000 numbers. And obviously, I can't tell, the numbers that people will pick. And obviously, putting all the numbers, there will just be too much work. So this is where external services come in. And also, I am manually typing the responses for all these numbers, which is not fun. If you know me, you know that I like to use a numbers API. So this is where a service, or a very simple website here called Numbers API, comes in. Now, if you look very close, right, they have a simple way of doing. So for instance, if you call it numbers, numbersapi.com, and then you pass your number. So let me pass, let's say 12, right? And I call it. It's going to refresh and see what's going to happen. It's now going to tell me, look here, 12, the number 12 that I have selected. It's going to give me some fact about the number 12. It says that 12 is the pair of ribs normally in a human body. And this is a random fact. This is random, right? It's a random one. So now, how do we leverage this to say that, well, anytime someone calls my Copilot and passes that number, I want to be able to revert it? And they have options to do math, trivia, date, and then there's a random one. So if you want to do something like math, right? So what you do is that let's say if you pick the number, let's say the number 12, and I want you to watch something. If I take out, so when I call this, let's do 15 and I run this again. Now, when you call this, okay, you see 15 is the number of minutes in a quarter of an hour. Now, when you call this endpoint with the hash sign, it doesn't just give you a response. What it does is it takes the response and displays it in the same websites, you know, keeping the look and feel. But if I take out the hash sign, and I just call it just the number, this is what happens. You see it? It just returns the body of it and says, hey, 15 is a number of balls in 8-ball variant of billiards, right? So anytime and that's the thing, if I refresh this again, it will give me another random fact, right? This is just random. It's just random. 15 is approximate speed in miles per, so it's just random. Now, if we go back to, let's do this. If we go back to the site, you realize that they have math and they have date, and then they have the random, right? So if you want to do the like a trivia random stuff, you just call it and pass the number, and it's going to give you a trivia. If you want something that is specifically to math, you have to, you know, so today we're just going to stick to this one, right? Which is calling it without just a trivia. So any number you select is going to give you a trivia. However, imagine the math, the date, and the random. These could have been options. So for instance, let's go to our Copilot. So that here, instead of the number 10, I can go ahead and say maths, right? And then here, I can go ahead and say trivia. And then now I can add another one here and say date, and then add another one here and say random, right? So, and then this time around, it means that we will have to change the question and say, how do you want to play? So let's save this. So this time, what it means is, it's now going to say, hey, how do you want to play this game? Math, random, trivia, what that? So let's test our bot again. So let's do numbers. And then it's going to say, hello, welcome to the Numbers Magic Portal. Pick a number. I will tell you a secret. How do you want to play? So you see, so the options are here. As you can see them, whether I want to play by maths, trivia, date, or random, right? So in this case, and the same way, see what happens. Based on, you know, what they select, you can now pick whatever they select, and then you can call the endpoint to do that. However, calling the endpoint, this is where Power Automate comes in. All right. So in order to do this, today we're going to keep it very simple. We are not going to do any option. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back here and change it and just say what we are looking for is just, so I can just go ahead and say, and just see a number. All right. Just see a number, and that's just it. So in this case, I'll just leave this as our lucky number, and I'll identify this as a number here. So let's go ahead and delete this, and then we delete this, and then we delete this, and then because we don't need any condition this time around. Is this? So there you go. So we don't need condition. So basically, welcome to numbers game. Let's play some, you know, and then let's go ahead and say what is your favorite number? Oh, let's see, what's your lucky number? What's your lucky number? All right, save this. So at this point, that we are retrieving the person's lucky number, putting it in a variable called var lucky number. Now the next thing for us is now to try to invoke our API, and this is where Power Automate comes in. So now what we want to do is we're going to use Power Automate to call the API, all right, take the response, and then bring it back into our Copilot Studio. Now this is what I was saying. So to do this, you click on the next step, and then you do call action. Now let's stay here for a while. Okay, let's stay here for a while, right? So this is it. Basic actions will be create a flow, skill or skill action. So skill, it's in terms of PVA, Power Virtual Agent, or now Copilot Studio, is creating your own. It's more or less like, call it like custom APIs, right? But it's just like external functionality you've created in code or somewhere else, or another bot, right, that you want this to call. It's almost synonymous to plugins, but then it's something that we used to have in PVA that has been carried over in here. Now, two ways to interact with Power Automate, which is this one. The first one here, like I said, would be as simple as clicking the create a flow. Now, when you do this, Power Automate is going to scaffold everything, make sure it's in the same environment, make sure it's in the same solution, and then open the Power Automate Designer for you to edit the flow. Two key things you will see happen, which you should take note should you want to go the other route, which is the second route would be you come to Power Automate and then you go to the solution where ideally that would live, and then you can go ahead here and create a new flow, a cloud flow, which is probably an automated flow, right? This is the catch. This is the catch. If you're creating the flow manually, right? Let's say Copilot Studio. Now, some of the, let's say lucky number agent. Now, and then I'll do Copilot Studio. Now, what you need to understand is that even though Copilot Studio is a new name for Power Virtual Agent, some of the connectors and things still bear the previous name. It's going to take a while for that. It's living up to it. Yes, true. I didn't see that. So what you're going to see is that some of the connectors still have the name Power Virtual Agent, right? So virtual agent. It's going to take some time for it to change. So you can see that now. I see here when a Power Virtual Agent calls a flow, right? That's what I'm saying. You're seeing Power Virtual Agents, but over time it's going to change. Yeah, Edwin, let's go and see what you're saying. Give me a sec. So Edwin is saying that, is it not possible to call APIs from Copilot? It is. That's what I'm saying, that you can add skills to it, right? Or plugins, which are external. You can call directly for it. But don't forget that the benefit of what Automate provides you is kind of like a business process, right? Where you want to do some elaborate thing. And today I'm specifically using Power Automate because that allows you to pretty much orchestrate that flow or that automation. Don't forget that if you have your APIs, you can call your APIs through custom connectors. There is a catch there, especially because of security and authentication and stuff like that. The preferred way will be for you to create a custom connector, bring it into Power Automate, and then you call it through your Copilot. Microsoft doesn't want to make it just lax that way. So there is a security reason for going that route, right? But it's an action. So that's why when I went to show the action here, you can see, so here you see connector, which is your custom connector, or plugin, which I mentioned that you have your external. So, but those would have to be done in accordance to Microsoft specification. That's why we're going with Copilot, right? So the first part, easier way, create a flow. Copilot Studio will create the flow, do everything for you, and then you just have to fill in the definition of what you want the flow to do. Or you can go ahead, create your own flow. But here's the thing, the two things before we probably run and continue this next week. So the two things is when a Power Virtual Agent calls a flow, right? When you do this and then you click on create, it is going to say, hey, when Power Virtual Agent calls this flow, now it's going to establish a connection, make sure that it's within the same environment. There you go. When Power Virtual Agent, right, calls this flow, what do I need to do? Now it's supposed to pass a few things. I think it's using, it's supposed to use a new version. Let's refresh. I don't want to lose. Okay, so let's do this. I'm just going to do HTTP. So, yep. Let's say request. There you go. Request. Right? So you make a request. So ideally, what will happen is that you're going to make a request that is an HTTP request to this endpoint, right? And then when the request comes, so let's go ahead. So no, I just want to do a request. Come on, guys, let's delete this. Hold on, there's something happening. Let me refresh this. I don't think this is, let me reload. It should pick up onto the new let's go. All right, so default solution. And yeah, let me just create it from here. So I'll go ahead here and then create a cloud flow, an automated flow. And then we'll do virtual agent. Yep. We'll do this, create. So this is the second part, right? Where you want to create it. I want to show this here. Let's say HTTP. So let's see HTTP here. HTTP. Yeah. So here I'm making a GET request, and then what's the URL? So the URL is numbers. Copy. Here. I'm not passing any headers, nothing. There's no body or something like that. Now, this is the catch. If you want your flow to be functional when a Copilot calls it, you need to do this. Virtual agent. You need to do this. So Power Virtual Agent, you need to do return this one. You need to do it. You need to do return values to Power Virtual Agent. Right? If you don't do this, after your Power Automate runs, it will not be able to return or pass on the results to it. So that is the trick. That is the trick. Something you should not forget. So make sure that you are doing both when you do when the Power Agent calls a flow, and then also make sure that you are returning to Power Agent flow. So if you want to go the part of, oh, I want to manually create this myself, right? Manually create this myself and then have my flow call it. This is how you do it. But today, I'm not going to go that route. We're going to go with doing that from Copilot Studio. So let's go to Copilot Studio and then select, as you can see. So if you're wondering, how did he get here? Very simple. We started by creating the trigger, the topic, the trigger, and then responding to the person with a message and asking the person what is their lucky number, and then we are storing that in a variable called var lucky number, right? Then after that is done, let's go ahead. After that is done, I clicked on this and then went ahead to do call action, and then in the call action I'm selecting create a flow, right? Like I said, connectors in preview, where you already have your connectors, you can select them, or plugin if you've built any plugin. I've not built any plugin yet, so go to basic action and I'll do create a flow. And the same way, like I explained, it is going to go to Power Automate, scaffold it, put everything there, and there you go. Look at that. And then you also have the Copilot option here, where you can use the Copilot within Power Automate. So now you see, when Power Virtual Agent calls a flow, and then in between they have put whatever you can do in between. Let me zoom in so you see this properly. So this is it, and like I said, return values to Power Virtual Agent. So you notice that it scaffolds it and then tells you what to fill in with it, right? So this is where I'm going to leave it today. If you want to see us finish this next week, make a date with me next week, Sunday. Hold on, let's look at this. What? 20 something. Oops. Oops. Yes. Don't buy me. So if you want to see what we do next, which is building the Power Automate that is going to call the numbers API and pass all the things to it, make it there with me next week, Sunday, right here on the Power Series show. And then I'll walk you through how we're going to continue and finish this. If you have a specific use case, which you want to see how it is done, right? Or you want us to walk through it, share with me, comment on the video, reach out to me. Let's talk about it. Let's see, and then we can use that as a learning process for everyone. With that said, this is where I will leave today's session, but we're not going to leave like that. I think we have about 3 more minutes or 2 more minutes. So if there's any question, drop it in. So what does it say? It's Christmas Eve. Yes. That's true. Yeah. So yeah. So next week is Christmas. Well, yeah, almost. That's the last. I think the last Sunday before Christmas. So will there be a pause? Yes, obviously there's going to be a pause. Christmas, man has to relax. So technically, next week Sunday would be the very last episode of Power Series before we, no, not the very last for the year, but it'll be the last episode before the Christmas the Christmas activities, and then we'll resume and do the last one for the year, which usually the last episodes are always Ask Me Anything questions, and we talk about the year in review. So yes. But then Tuesday and Friday, IoT Tuesday is going to come on. Demystify Tech is going to come on Friday as well. So we can do that if you want to. Because I'm already treating a separate topic in there, I would have gone to do the Power Automate there, but we'll leave Power Automate for Power Series to do next week, Sunday. So if this sounds like something you want to do, hey, subscribe to the channel, invite your friends to join, let's learn together. Let's have some fun. Let me know what you think. Rate this episode, reach out to me. Let me know how you feel about it, what you want to see changed, added, subtracted, divided, multiplied with, so that we can have some fun. So thank you so much for joining me today. Big ups to Edwin, to Ellie Clean, to all of you who joined, and all of you who are going to watch it on demand. Please feel free to reach out, comment, so we can take this to the next level. I still remain yours truly, Samuel Adrani. Let's do this again next week, Sunday. Stick and stay. Go into the new week with positivity, positive vibes, and like I always say, let's make the world a better place through technology. And I want to use the opportunity to say thank you to everybody who joined us yesterday at the Kofi Annan ICT Center for the .NET Conf. Thank you so much. It was an absolute bliss. We had a lot of fun. So let's do this again pretty soon. So go into the week. Stay safe. Don't do what I won't do. Love you all. Catch you later next week. Bye. Thank you.